Hey everybody, this is John Child, Cruise Addicts. Thank you all for being here. I see the room filling up. Today we're actually starting our first Ask an Agent. So our special guest, and let me get into that here, is like I said, welcome to Ask an Agent. Tonight we have a top travel agent who is Viking's top global producer with over 18 years of experience and works every day at giving his clients first-class service. Please welcome my guest, Michael Consoli. We're going to get him out of here. Hi, Michael.
Hey, John. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to join us. Thank you all to joining us. We've actually got ourselves on all across the Cruise Addicts landscape on YouTube, Facebook, the Facebook groups. We're also bringing in the Viking Cruises group. This is really exciting. We also are Periscope for the first time on Twitter. We see plenty of people jumping here. So this is very exciting. This is Ask an Agent. We actually have a top travel agent, like I said, Viking's global top producer. So he sells more Viking product than anyone in the entire world, and we have him here tonight. So what I'd like you all to do is please write a comment below here. I'm going to put a little thing here where, like I said, please leave a comment. Welcome aboard, and let us know what's your travel agent. If you have a top travel agent question, if you need help, let us know. We've got someone here right now in real time to let you know what to do. Has your cruise been canceled? Are you worried about what to do in the future? We can help you now. Michael Consoli is his name. You can reach him at 1-800-913-7245 or michael@planmycruise.com. You can check his site out right now, planmycruise.com. But this isn't necessarily an infomercial. It's actually a question and answer show. It's called Ask an Agent. We've got a top travel agent here right now for you. Write your comments below. We're going to look at them now, and we're looking forward to it. If you're part of a group, click that little link as far as the show description. If you're in a group, you have to give us permission. We can see your name, there we go, we'll come back. Like I said, I see a few people from the group. Please give us permission so we can actually see your face and also your name. Otherwise, it'll just say Facebook user. I'm going to show you right here. It just says Facebook user. But if you give us permission, we'll actually see everything. We've got plenty of you joining us. Once again, please ask your comments below. Write your comments below there. We'll see them live wherever you are. Like I said, we're coming to you from Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. Write your comments below as the room fills up. This is very exciting for us. We're reaching such a large audience. We're looking forward to your comments. And I want to be asking Michael some of your comments and questions. And I've got some questions for him too. Wow, we've got a first question from YouTube, Michael. So this is exciting. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever done this on YouTube. So we're going to give Matthew Cook here his question right to the forefront. Thank you again, Matthew, for joining us. And Michael, let's just get right to it. Should I go on a cruise in the next 5 years? I mean, that's a legitimate question. I mean, how do you really plan nowadays? And what are you telling your clients to do in this type of thing? I mean, every day it seems like they're pushing back and pushing back. What do you have to say?
I mean, I sell cruises for a living, so I'm the wrong person to ask. I would tell them to go on a cruise this year. If we have some that actually leave sometime this year after currently, a lot of the lines have suspended through September 15th. That does not apply to Viking. Viking has not, they've only paused through August 31st, but some of the other major cruise lines have paused through September 15th of this year so far. And yes, I would tell him to go on a cruise every year over the next 5 years and pick a different place each time. Cruising is the best way to see the world without having to pack and unpack every time you go to a different city. So absolutely, I would say go on a cruise every year.
Okay, we've got some things going on here. So we might submit in and out. We'll see how it works. It looks like we have another question from Margot Arlington. Thank you so much, Margot, for asking the question. This is making this so much more exciting for us. We're so excited to reach a big group. So, Michael, as you can see the question from Margot, what are some of the smaller lines like Windstar doing? Some fall under the 200 passenger limit, she says.
Well, I think that they are also suspending their services for now, and following the same schedules that the larger lines are following. The only exception we've really seen to that are going to be some very small ships in Alaska, and the American cruise lines that are sailing on the Mississippi and the Snake River. I think we'll see them travel, hopefully soon. But with the CDC, with the CLIA recommendation or agreement to not sail until after September 15th, we've not yet seen how that's going to affect the U.S.-based cruise lines. But the other lines obviously have paused service through September 15th. Again, not Viking, just some of the major lines have recently announced through September 15th so far. Viking's suspension so far is only through August 31st.
Okay. Once again, please ask your comments below. So, Michael, we kind of jumped right into it pretty heavy with these questions. If you haven't asked a question yet, please ask the comments below. We really appreciate it. This will make this show actually more interactive. Michael, can you introduce yourself to everybody that may have not know you, and tell us how you got started in the cruise industry?
Yeah, well, I went on a cruise about 18 years ago, and I fell in love with the whole concept and decided that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to sell cruises. I had a different business at the time that was also pretty successful, but I fell in love with the concept and slowly got into, becoming a travel agent. I've done it for 18 years. I love the business. I love learning about all the different lines and what they have to offer. And I stopped counting about 4 years ago. I've been on over 150 cruises on all different lines. And so that has really provided me with a lot of experience to help my clients, select the right trip for them. So,
do you charge any fees? I mean, some people think that if you use a full service travel agency, that you get charged fees and all these other things. How do you actually?
So I don't ever charge a fee. Some agencies do. I just don't believe in it. The cruise lines and the tour companies that we work with, they pay us, but I work for the client and I help them get the best deal and help them navigate the whole process to make their experience an excellent experience from beginning to end. But we never ever charge a fee. So
okay. And what's the best part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is having somebody come back and just tell me how much they loved their trip. Like, that's my favorite thing. I love to introduce a client to a new product and have them come back and say, oh my gosh, it was a great fit. We had a great time. We want to do another. And that's really what it's about. So the best part of the job, I think, for me is going to be, the relationships that I build with my clients over time and helping them find the perfect trip.
Do you have a trip that just stood out in your lifetime that you kind of sometimes think back to as far as the perfect trip?
Yeah, well, I love anything in Europe, especially Italy, because I'm Italian. So those are probably going to be at the top of my list. But one of my favorite trips recently was to China. I had been to China 2 years ago, and then had to escort a group on the Yangtze River, and just wasn't as excited about it as I was the first time I went to China. But it honestly was the best experience I've had. It definitely ranks in one of the top 5 trips I've done. We actually traveled to Wuhan, right, where this virus thing started, where the whole pandemic started, which was just an incredible city. The whole experience from beginning to end was amazing.
I actually saw people commenting in the group. They said they're putting China off. That they said, I think where Asia might be coming back sooner than North America. They were talking about just. They're not ready to book China. What's your take on that? How are you advising your clients?
I do know that like some of the river cruise companies have pulled it for next year. They're not going to be selling China for next year. I think the ocean cruises will definitely continue to go there in the normal season once this whole thing is over. But the coast of China, being able to explore that by ocean vessel is really amazing. But if anybody has the chance to do the Yangtze after this whole thing is over, I would highly recommend it. It was really a special trip, getting to see the warriors and going to Xi'an and all these other places. It was really places that we had talked about for years. It was really just an amazing experience.
Excellent. And what about the cancellations? So here it is, boom, this week we get more cancellations where some people thought they were going to be cruising soon, and all of a sudden, CLIA puts things back even further. How have you been dealing with that?
So, I mean, it's hard, right? Because we don't ever know. Every day it's just it's a different thing to a different fire to put out, and, helping reaccommodate our guests to find, the right situation for them. And we've talked about this before. All the cruise lines are offering vouchers or an incentive to move the booking, or, a refund, and everybody's situation is different. So every day we work with the client to find out what works best for them, and help them find the best alternative if they're looking for another sailing, want to move their booking forward. And that's what the majority of our clients are doing. The majority are really just pushing the sailing into 21 or 22, and that's across all the lines, not just Viking, but especially with Royal Caribbean Celebrity that just announced this week through September 15th. Last week we had Norwegian, Regent Seven Seas, and Oceania. They all suspended their sailings through September 15th, and some of them even later than that. And we've just been moving those clients. But every situation is different, and so the challenge is to help the guest figure out what works best for them and the situation that's going to give them the most benefit. So it's a challenging environment, but that's what we're here for. We're here to help the guest make the right choice.
Now, so many agents, things just like everything in this world with doctors and other professionals, things have become specialties. So what do you consider your specialty in travel?
Well, I mean, cruising is really my specialty, but within that realm, and don't misunderstand, I do land as well. So we happen to be a top producing agency for talc, so we do a lot of land. But I guess river and luxury are probably my two specialties. Obviously, I sell a lot. I sell a lot of river. It's a real passion of mine. I love the Viking product, but we sell all the river brands, and I sell a lot of luxury. Regent Seven Seas, Oceania, Viking's considered a luxury product, Crystal, Silversea, Seabourn. And then we're also, I've been awarded top producer for Celebrity and Royal Caribbean several years in a row. So it's something that I really love cruising and being able to bring that experience to my clients.
So many people have questions about, like, when is the best time to cruise Alaska?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really, everybody has a different opinion about that, right? So, I really love the end of May, beginning of June, when the wildlife is just really becoming alive, in that part of the world. And so it's really one of my favorite times. It's also one of the less expensive times. We see the more expensive times in Alaska are July and August, just because of the popularity of those months. And they tend to be warmer. But I do like the June timeframe, just because I think that's when Alaska comes alive and where people really have a great opportunity to see the wildlife. And but everybody has a different opinion. Some people, their best value is going to be the least expensive time to go, as opposed they're willing to trade off the weather to get a better price. And some people want to have just the absolute best experience, and everybody's concerned with price, but the pricing is not as important to them as it is to make sure that they have the optimum time to see wildlife and whales and all of that stuff. So a lot of people don't realize that, like, even in Alaska, like, the northbound and southbound sailings will differ in price, because southbound tends to be a more popular itinerary. If you travel from Vancouver to Seward, it's usually a little bit less expensive than Seward to Vancouver. And that's because most of those sailings that are going northbound or southbound are paired with a cruise tour with a land component that takes them to different cities in Alaska before boarding the ship. And most people prefer to do that before the cruise, right? Because the cruise just tends to be a little bit less regimented and more relaxing. So a lot of people prefer to do the land portion before the cruise. And so just from that simple demand, the pricing differs on northbound and southbound sailing. So it's little things like that an agent can really help you determine, to help you find what works best for you.
Right. Now, another thing is, when would you recommend to book a European river cruise? I mean, the water levels are a factor. I know the time of the year is quite significant.
Yeah. So I tend to encourage people to book in May and September. And usually those are also times that are a little bit higher in price. And the reason is not because they're higher in price, but because they tend to have better weather and less crowds. So, whenever the kids are out of school in the US, people are all traveling to Europe. And so the crowds are really high between June through August. So, if you're trying to avoid crowds and you're looking for great weather, May and September are really great times to travel. And they are also going to be times that will help you avoid low water level issues. Now, there aren't always low water level issues, but the years that we have had them, they tend to be in the more warmer parts of the season, like July and August. And you'll see, for instance, that one of those spots of where there are water level issues tend to be between like Regensburg and Nuremberg on the Danube, for example. And so next year, Viking has altered their schedule, their itinerary. Instead of the romantic Danube going from Budapest to Nuremberg, it now travels from Budapest to Regensburg, so they can avoid that water level issue when it does arise. And it just helps them to not have the sailing interrupted by a ship swap or something like that. So I don't know if you're still there, John, but I can't see or hear you. But and if people aren't familiar with a ship swap, Viking's process when they have a low water level issue is they will take the guests from a ship that might be traveling this way and the ship that's traveling this way, and they'll swap them so that those ships can turn around and continue on and not have the cruise lines, the cruise experience interrupted by having to motor coach from one city to the other. Instead, they'll swap the guests on each ship, have those ships turn around, and then the ships can continue on the original itinerary they were on. The guests are just on a different identical ship. So it's a very interesting concept, and they are masters at making sure that they can accommodate any type of water level issue and avoid having to bus people from city to city. So I think I've lost John for good. So unfortunately, I can't see any of the questions. So if somebody has a question, they're welcome to ask it in the section below, and hopefully John can put it together for us so we can assist in answering your question. So I see we have a question about pricing. When's the best time to get the best price on a river cruise? And honestly, with river cruising, these ships, they hold 190, 120, depending on the itinerary, 100 guests. So they hold between 100 and 200 guests, and those ships are quite small. So quite frankly, the earlier you book for the more popular times, the better. Obviously, the cabins that are on the higher two decks, they sell the fastest, and the lower category cabins, the standard cabins, or what we call swan view with a small window, they're going to sell later in the process, and those might be ones that you might be able to get a better deal on later. But the majority of the cabins on board a river cruise are going to sell quite quickly. So the earlier that you book, the better. And next year, for instance, we're seeing, we're combining 2020 demand with 2021 demand. And so we're seeing, a lot of sell through on the products for next year. So if anybody's considering traveling in 2021 and they haven't booked, or you're considering changing your sailing to 2021, or you have vouchers and you want to change to 2021, I highly recommend that you do that soon, just because the sailings are selling quite fast. So, yeah, but that's a great question about pricing. John just said that he's stuck, that he's lost his internet. So if anybody has a question, just ask it in the thing below, and we'll be happy to answer the question while we wait for John to get his internet connection back up. So I'm sure that people are very concerned about what's happening next with sailings being canceled and things like that. And I know that we had a lot of cancellations, as I mentioned earlier, through September 15th of this year. Many of the major cruise lines have canceled through September 15th and are offering, 125% voucher for moving your sailing or a refund. Viking has not yet made any decisions about September, so we have yet to hear anything about changes for September sailings. I know a lot of people on the boards are concerned about that, and but they have not made an announcement about that. So all the talk that we've mentioned about sailings canceled through September 15th really does not apply to Viking so far. So once there is a notification, I'm sure that you'll hear directly from them about it. But we've not yet heard anything about cancellations for 2020 through September 15th. So I think John is done for today, but if for those of you that joined us, I really appreciate you joining us, and I thank you for that. And I think John wants to do these question and answer sessions quite regularly, so you'll probably see another one on Facebook in the next couple of weeks. And my name is Michael Consoli with Cruise Planners. And if you are thinking about doing a cruise, or if you have a voucher to use or need help with or guidance in booking your next vacation, I certainly would love to help you. I can be reached at 800-913-7245. My email address is michael@planmycruise.com. And I'd be happy to help you anytime. It looks like we just got another question. It says, a question about the minibar on ocean cruises. Can you choose wine? Yes, and certain categories of the ocean Viking ocean ships, wine is available in your minibar. It is replenished daily, so there will be an option for that. And of course, as you know, beer and wine are complimentary with lunch and dinner. And they also offer the Silver Spirits package, which is an all-inclusive beverage package available to you for $20 per person per day for the length of your sailing. So thanks for that question, Anita. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you have any questions or I can help in any way, I certainly am happy to. Thanks again, and we'll see you again real soon. Thank you.